In this video we'll show you how we can just draw a simple letter E. Okay, so I've started the CAD from the desktop and I'm going to create a new drawing, and this has presented me with the blank sheet of paper. So as with many things, there's various different ways that you can draw a letter or anything really. So we'll show you 2 or 3 different methods. Okay, so we could set up a grid and then draw the grid, and then using line mode we can draw to a grid. So we've got line selected and I'm going to draw a normal line which needs a start point and then successive end points. So my snap modes are down the bottom here, so I'll snap onto a grid. So this is the first point, second point, third point, fourth point. Okay, so that's done the outside. Now I don't want to continue with that particular span, so if I just hold down the shift key or press escape is even better, then this will give me the start point for the new line and then the end point. Again, press the escape key to terminate that. So that's one method of drawing it, which is okay if you can draw it to a grid. But supposing you can't draw it to a grid and you want to enter the exact sizes. So if I just undo that. So I'll start off drawing a new line and I'll go into near snap to make sure that the line starts on my 0 position here. So now I'm going to use the command window at the bottom to type in the coordinates. So I'm going to enter the x and y coordinates. So that's x minus 30, y 0. So that moves the marker across to that point. So that's where my current datum point is. So I can now go y 50 and x 30. Okay, so that's drawn the outside. Again, we want to draw the inside now. So what I could do is I could go into point mode, and now I can set my datum point to a new position. So I could either do that using the grid, or I could type in the coordinates relative to where the current datum is, which is the last position I worked at. But supposing I want to make my dimensions relative to the datum on the drawing. So if I say datum the origin and I create a point at x minus 15, y 25. So that's the start point of the line. So now I can go into line mode, start point of the line is there, and I can go x minus 15 from there. So that's another method of drawing a letter E. I'll just switch off the grid. Another method is to use basic constructions. So I could use line, angled line to generate a line there, change my angle to 90 degrees, and now draw lines parallel to that. Parallel to that one, which would be 30 to the left. Parallel to that one, which would be 50 above. Parallel to that one, which would be 25 above. Parallel to that one, which would be 10 to the left. And now I can trim those lines to suit. So I can use intersect, split the items over an area, click and drag around the area, and all those lines are now split apart, and I can simply use the delete key to delete the elements that I don't want. So there's various methods of drawing a letter E. Now that can be applied to anything, of course, any shape at all. If in fact you just want to machine a letter E, then you can use it via text. So if we go into text mode, and the option we want is to machine precision text, and we choose no snap, so the text will just appear where my cursor is, and then we type in what we want, which is a letter E. And we've got basically two types of font we can use. We can use a Windows font, so any font that appears on your system can be machined, or we can use what we call simple fonts, which is like a stick font. So if I enter the height of that, 30 millimeters, that just creates a letter E based on a standard Arial font. Now what that's actually done, of course, is it's created a contour for me as well. So if I go into machining, I could machine that shape as well if I wanted to. So when we're creating text, then we can simply enter the text we want, and then the options at the bottom here, we can output the text as a series of curves or as a number of contours, so that you can add the machining later on. So if we wanted that, and we can give this a depth, and that creates the contours, and that can be machined directly in the CAM software without us having to physically draw the individual parts. So if we want to create a letter E, or any letter, then we can use basic construction techniques to draw it, or we can use precision text to create text that can be machined. The other option that we'll show you is when we're creating text, is if you don't use the simple fonts, you can use the Windows fonts. So any fonts that happen to appear on your system installed by Windows or any other application, we can use. The thing to bear in mind about Windows fonts is that they are outline fonts, so that you machine the outside and the inside. Within the CAM system, then of course you can do an area clearance between those. So that's how you can machine a letter E, or virtually anything, I guess.